welcome to Crawford's House Podcast. I caught myself off guard. I didn't even know what to say there. I don't have a script. I just all impromptu. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm very lucky to have a guest in house that I was connected with through another mutual friend of ours, Sean. Shout out, Sean. Thank you for connecting us. And his name is Jesse Rowley. Rowley. See, I knew it. We just literally were saying how people pronounce it wrong. Yeah. And now I put it in my mind and then I pronounced it wrong.
You just got to remember you can't row a boat.
You don't row a boat. No. Come on, people. You don't row a boat. You row a boat.
Yeah. You'll end up sinking.
Yeah. I mean, if I don't have a motor on that boat, I'm very unlikely to be it. I'm very lazy.
Screwed.
So, Jesse, man, honestly, you are a huge guest in my house because we're going to talk some pretty knowledgeable stuff today is what I've been, because we haven't really even gone over a game plan. No, We've just kind of, Sean told me, who you were, what you do. I've kind of watched the past couple months. You do a podcast. Let's do let's do a shout out for your podcast. We'll wrap it around at the end, do another shout out, but tell us about your podcast.
So,
what is it all about?
My podcast is called Get Learned, and so we bring on different researchers. Mostly been people from Mac so far, so professors, graduate students. A lot of them are neuroscience background, biology background.
Wow.
And we also just had someone from the Perimeter Institute in Waterloo. So it's like a high theoretical physics place.
Whoa.
So that was pretty cool.
That's very cool.
Talk about some black holes.
I would say what do you guys end up talking about? Like, do you guys end up going the black holes, so we end up discussing the universe and just the ever expansion of the possibilities of everything?
Yeah, we talked about multiverses. One cool thing we talked about was we see 3 dimensions, right? So you see height.
Well, I actually only have one eye that works, so I actually don't. I have no depth perception. Okay. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know how I keep getting a license every year, but it's but no, I can see people. Don't worry, you're safe to drive with me. But I feel like I've lost part of the dimensional seeing, if that's possible.
No, yeah. If you are if you only have one working eye, then you can't use your eyes. They have a different angle, right?
Yep.
So then the light hits them at a different angle, and you're able to basically assert the depth that way. That's why you lose your depth perception.
So it's like your brain calculates how far away something is based off both eyes, looking at it and kind of seeing it from 2 different angles?
Yeah, it almost cross-references the 2 images it would be getting.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it's really cool.
Wow.
So I'm not sure how it would work, but I imagine there would have been some sort of adaptive period after you lose vision in one eye, or there'd definitely be a period for you to get back to functioning nicely because you lose your depth perception. I mean,
yeah, it was. I honestly, I've always just kind of said to everybody, I just started living life again. But it was definitely. It was challenging. It's like we still have fun with each other. Where I'll be like, "Yo, toss me a lighter," but I just mean please hand me the lighter, because if I say toss it, then it becomes a game and we'll physically toss it, and I'll freak out because I have no idea how far away it is. And
if it makes you feel any better, I'm a nerd, so I got no coordination. If someone throws me something, I do the same thing, but I can see.
No, that's it's just one of the fun parts of life, right? We all just see and do things differently. We all perceive things differently. Yeah. Where were you going with the third dimensional reference there?
Yeah, because so this is a cool thing. So if you imagine a piece of paper, that's kind of 2-dimensional, right?
Because it's in your mind. You're not physically seeing it.
Well, even if you have 2-dimensional paper, it's just got a length and a height, right?
Okay,
it doesn't really, it has a width, but it's so small. So let's say it's 2 dimensions. And then if you just had a piece of string, that's 1 dimension, right? Okay. So you can go one way down the string. We can go 2 ways. So if you were to stack two things of paper, this is the easiest way to think of it. 2 things of paper, think of each paper as a universe.
Okay.
So it could actually be really close to us, just in a dimension that we're unable to
We
perceive.
don't perceive. See,
that's really cool, eh?
That's crazy because, dude, I was just thinking that the other day. I almost got to pull my phone up to read you what I tweeted. I was just reading my book just out in the middle of nowhere. It was just quiet. I was just sitting there looking I was reading the book, and then I stopped between chapters and I looked outside, and there's just a bunch of wildlife, and I hear birds, and it's just the sound of obviously distant traffic, but it's just a peaceful kind of noise where it's not a disturbing noise. It's just its existence. And this idea came to me. I said, the idea that there's much more to everything than anything we know or could possibly never know because we don't understand, because we literally can't, is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It sounds like a redundant sentence, but it's like...
You can dissect it.
Yeah, just the amount of things that we can't possibly understand because we aren't capable of understanding the possibilities that would make this exist.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a cool thing is a lot of the a lot of scientists they'll go about their career and they'll do well for themselves, but they just progress science as is. But there is some that kind of step out of the bound and they'll challenge ideas.
Interesting.
And a lot of the time they don't get as big during their lifetime, and then they're kind of seen.
It's almost like the spotlight isn't shown on them because they're challenging what people believe.
Yeah, it's almost like science takes time to catch up because it has its own almost like a system of beliefs.
Interesting. So it, even though it is all literally evidence-based findings, there's still a progressive speed that people are catching up to in the industry because there are forward thinkers and there are people who are afraid to think forward. Would you say that's accurate, or how would you say that?
I would say a lot of the scientists are forward thinkers. There's some really creative thinkers. They take what's going on and they look at it a completely different way. Still very science-based.
Yeah, still very literal and understanding of everything.
Yeah, but it's just they wouldn't perceive it. An example, so me and my brother were talking about this the other day because he kind of had an idea like this, and then he did some research and he saw there was another lab that was working on something.
Right on.
And they've published 14 papers on it.
Wow.
And none of the papers have been in like super high journals. And my brother's like, that's weird because
why is that?
They've really been like grinding the work out. Like he read all of the papers and he's like, they're really good. Like, and
they're onto something.
They covered all the bases, and it was what he thought, but it was to an actual more extreme level than what he thought. Basically it challenges the idea that I don't hear in my mouth, but that
it happens around here. It's not I don't have an air purifier on. I should, but
it that like myelin, so the sheaths around neurons, are used for electric propagation. So basically like firing your neurons, like
to hit the nerves or the reaction to move and things.
Yeah,
like that.
so that's what people think, but basically what my brother thought, and then kind of what these other guys are thinking, is that it might be used for that, but it also might be an energy source for the neurons and people
to power them to be able to react.
Just for them to survive, because they're not they're not super similar structurally to the other cells. Like I don't want to go too much into it because I haven't taken biology in a while.
Okay, and that's to say I'm really the farthest from the smartest person ever. So it's like everything that you tell me, it's just further expanding my capabilities of understanding things. So
no, yeah, it's pretty cool. There's kind of a movement. It's kind of off topic, but it is cool. There's like this open science movement. So we talked about it a couple times on my podcast where essentially the taxpayers pay for most science, right? So a lot of universities are public funded. Professors, they apply for grants to do their research.
To get their research funded so that they can have... Interesting. That makes sense. That makes sense in a way.
And a lot of the grants are from the government. Some are from companies, corporations, or whatever.
Corporations, private organizations, whatever.
But a lot of them are from the government, especially at least within Canada. I
feel like Canada is a progressive country in that way, where we do think forwardly in a sense, where we're not like if we're going to compare ourselves to the States, the States is kind of not that religion plays a factor in their science moving forward, but it feels like they're indifferent,
stagnant.
Yeah, they're just like they've accepted everything that is, and they're like, this is okay.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, but yeah, the States it's pretty crazy. They also have a large dispute, or I guess disparity, in their grants there. So in Canada, I don't want to say it's likely that a professor would receive the grant they apply for, but I think it's something like 50% of them are able to get grants to fund the research.
Now, is that because of a lack of competition looking for those grants because they're so unique, or is it just because we are, again, as I said, progressive country where we want to fund science?
So I think depending on our government, because when the conservatives go into power, there's normally some cuts on science and research. And then when the liberals go in, there's more funding for science and research.
See, that is something that is good to hear, that, my vote for the liberal wasn't all bad,
Yeah,
it wasn't all great, but
yeah.
good. That's good that we're getting funding for our science.
Yeah, we are getting something out of it. But the other thing is, the way Canada does the grants is they're a little bit, each grant is worth less. So
interesting.
These are numbers that are just kind of off the top of my head.
Hypothetical? Or
yeah. So like, say I'm a Canadian prof and I want to do research on some sort of mental health thing. So like the lab I work in, we do like structural MRI and like intracortical myelin.
Okay. It's a goddamn Scrabble word worth 1,000 points.
Yeah, they always just put ICM in the papers, and I'm like, what is it? And then I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And a lot of our research actually links back to mental health, depression, bipolar disorder, things like that. So like we could apply for a grant. We might get like 50 grand or 100 grand or something. But like an American university, or not university, a prof there could get like 500 grand, 700. Like
Whoa.
Their grants there, you're either insanely funded or you're like not that funded.
At all, kind of deal. That's interesting. Now, I guess I feel like a repetitive question. Why is that?
I think it's just how the science is set up there, and it's there's kind of an issue in how grants are
like
dished
issued?
out. Yeah. So when you apply for the grant, you write up your grant, and it's supposed to be like why your research is worth spending the money on, right?
Okay, it's like a pitch of why this is a good idea.
Exactly.
It all comes down to a business aspect. Everything.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've jumped the gun because we've only tried to pitch the idea to get the money.
Yeah.
And then
you're also supposed to include. Well, you have to include your name, and
that's a good start.
There's the issue there, because if you're a brand new professor, you could be really good, but you could apply for something, but you don't have any
credentials,
track record yet, right? So they might not give you the funding. And that's why you see, and then some other prof, they have a great track record and they don't really have to do cool research anymore because they know they're going to get funding.
See, that it's one of those things where it's like there's a spotlight on these individuals who have been in the industry working with us for like 5 years, and there's this new guy or new girl who has this crazy new idea that would change the way we see maybe the molecular build of DNA or something.
Yeah.
But since she has no credibility that we can say, even though she's got a 45-page resume of all these journals and things she's published, we got to fund these 5-year veterans over this girl. See, I don't like hearing that, because it sometimes to a bias kind of deal where
it does come down to a bias, exactly. And I think it should be kind of like how peer reviewing works for like if you're submitting your article to a journal, it's supposed to be like anonymous, so they don't know who wrote it.
They don't know who wrote it. Interesting.
And that's how the grant should work too. It should be anonymous.
You just pitch the idea, and if it's a good idea, you get funded. Kind of.
Yeah.
See, that's a great idea. If anybody ever watches this, it is part of that crew, because it's like that makes more sense logically. There's no name tag to the idea. It's just the idea, and it's like I'm just funding the idea rather than the person behind the idea.
Yeah, and then to combat because there is value in giving money to the people with experience, right? Because it's like you know what you're gonna get, right?
True.
You're not pouring money into something that might never be.
True.
So maybe it could. I don't have to apply for grants myself. Like, I'm not a professor. I've talked to a lot of them. I don't know if it's part of it already, but maybe they should just explain how they're going to, like, why they are capable of doing it. And it might already be part of it. And if it is, then they don't need the names. And if it isn't and they remove the names, they should just add that, because then you know what their plan is, what they're like, what you're getting, right?
Yeah, you know who you're supporting behind at the end of the day, which is important because you do have to give credit where credit is due.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, at the deciding factor, that isn't the important part of the decision. At the end of the day, it's like we don't care who it is until after the fact.
Yeah.
That's interesting because that's a whole other inside of aspect of things that I would never really ever find out myself from just talking to people. That's not a discussion I would just end up having with anybody, unless we were to dig deeper into that alley of a conversation. Honestly, that went on so long. It was such a just not even a topic. I haven't even told the people who you are yet, and we just went off. Introduce yourself to the people, because I gave them a name. And then I just kind of jumped in to your podcast, but I didn't really tell them who you were. Tell them who you are.
Yeah, so I'm Jesse Rowley. I'm a computer engineering student at McMaster University. I'm also a research assistant in a neuroscience lab. Like I mentioned, it's structural MRI we do. So I do a lot of the computer stuff for them.
Right on.
Some of the scripting, some of the analysis. Some like pipeline work just to get everything running smooth.
Yep.
And then I'm also like the CEO and co-founder of RSearch.
Right on. RSearch. I'll put a kind of a info little picture here in the link there. That'd be sweet.
Okay, sweet.
Right on. Check it out, people. What is RSearch?
Yeah. So we actually, because we're in London now, so I imagine there's bigger viewing here from London, Ontario. We have a couple profs signed up from Western, so there's stuff coming from there. But right now, most of our search is out of Mac. But what we do is we connect researchers and participants. So researchers can come up, they can post all their studies, like what they're doing.
Looking for this kind of, if you're going to be paid, if it's just kind of this how much time is going to be needed, these things, and then you can help find the people.
Yeah, so it's sweet for researchers because they can put up their studies and they can forget about it. They don't have to be wasting.
They don't have to worry about
time or money on their marketing. We take care of it, and then for participants, they get to look at all these different studies going on and they get to make money, right? Like
I did see a couple that you had posted. If not, maybe it's the RSearch group that I follow as well.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple for I think it was brain imaging or something in that sense, or
so it's the one I actually did this yesterday. So it was simulated falls, and they use, I believe it's called FNIRS, so it's like some infrared length, and they put a cap on you. So my hair is actually too dark. So
no way.
They put the cap on and the imaging wouldn't work.
They couldn't see through the darkness.
But it's really cool how the imaging works. So it uses, I want to say it's so it'd be near infrared wavelength light.
Okay.
So infrared, you have the visible spectrum, and then red is on the lower end. I think it's around 400 nanometers is one wavelength. So then infrared is a little bit smaller than that, or no, larger than that. No, never mind. I have it flipped. Yeah, so it's 800, and then it's larger. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Because ultraviolet is higher energy. So the infrared, they shoot it basically into your head. It's not going to damage you. It's just light.
It's just imaging.
Yeah, and the specific wavelength will be either, it interacts with hemoglobin, which is in your blood.
In your blood,
in your red blood cells.
That's the one thing that we always got to tell. I work with the Canadian Blood Society a lot. I just like, if we got to check with that, you got to get your hemoglobin checked. And it's what's your hemoglobin? I'm like, I don't even know. Really,
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's an interesting word too. Hemoglobin.
It's a great word.
It sounds cool, right?
It sounds cool. It sounds like it'd be a cool German rock band.
Yeah, exactly.
Introducing hemoglobin. Go on. Sorry, I keep cutting off with funny.
It's all good. So they can use that to track the blood flow in your brain. So
like if when you have a fall and the impact, where the blood ends up going to or rushing to, or
so no, these are simulated falls. So you sit in a comfy chair, you're not gonna hurt yourself or anything. And then they videotape you, so they do like a video analysis on it, and they block your vision, and then they go, "Are you ready?" And you say yeah, and then your vision becomes unblocked. They got these cool goggles that they use for this, and they'll either be a pole on your left or right, and you have to like grab onto it before you fall back. Whoa. So they're trying to figure out like how you're perceiving it like immediately, because you don't see anything, and then you see something and you're falling, right? Yeah. And you have to try and grab on. And
so are you falling back in the chair and you have to grab
so the chair's falling back.
Okay,
so
that's what it is.
You are falling away from the
but
things.
It's a controlled fall. It's nothing dangerous.
Oh yeah, no, it's super safe. Yeah, no, it's
man, that's awesome. I wish I could have partook in that, because again, I don't even know that I would have been able to, so to speak, because of the extensive brain damage that I have had. I couldn't. I wish I could tell you. I wish I could give you medical documents so you can inspect it. I don't have those, and I couldn't tell you any of the details. Oh, I wish. I don't know that we can do that. Well, from what I was told, there's I met with a doctor a couple weeks ago, and he told me he had like 4,500 pages to go over, and I'm pretty sure that was just the summary. So it's I don't even know how much it is, but I would love to know kind of how my brain squares up with the average brain in situations like that, because I can only assume there's so very different. Again, with the MRI scans, you probably see that a lot. Just the difference kind of in brains and between individuals and ages, kind of how do you see a lot, like what do you see in the differences between them in the most, I would say?
So I wouldn't be able to specify the difference based on anything, because all of our data is de-identified, so I don't know whose brains I'm looking at.
Okay.
But there is differences in the brains, and some of them are cool. Some of them you'll see someone's eye, like their right eye is way higher than their left eye or something.
What?
And sometimes I'm like, oh man, like I feel bad. Like I hope maybe their head was just tilted weird or something in the scanner, but it's pretty hard to tilt your head in those scanners. They're pretty small.
Oh no, that's tragic to hear that.
Yeah, and like just so the way an MRI image comes up is there's slices. So we go through the different slices.
Okay.
So there's like 300 slices across this way of my head. And then 300 this way, and then 300 back, like front to back.
Whoa.
So there's a lot of images to go through.
So
right?
many images.
It's a lot of processing. But like each one is a slice, so you can see like the ears come in, and you can see like the nose and the face. Like it looks really scary, kind of, but it's really cool.
Yeah, it'd be cool once, because you understand what's happening. It's just like this is the imaging technique. This is how it's done. Whoa.
Yeah, no, it's pretty nuts. Yeah, I mean, some people like they have really big ears. Like they just come in and they have like,
people got ears.
And I'm like, holy, like this is like, it's a lot of things you see on normal people, but like when you see it on an MRI image, because it's basically black and white, or there's like some
so
gray,
much freakier.
It really, like you really see it. You're like, whoa, like
whoa.
There's no like hair covering the ears or anything.
No, it's just all raw imaging of the skull and the brain and everything.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's pretty cool.
Now, so you said everything that you work with in the MRIs are all unidentified, obviously information wiped. What would you see as a large characteristic difference between, like, what would say a functioning brain and one that is not totally functioning? Like, I don't know, do you deal with a lot of not totally functioning brains, or like in that regard, how would you compare the two?
So that's interesting. I haven't looked at any images of brains with severe damage, but this is I don't know how would I say
how to phrase it.
This isn't a fact or anything. I'm just talking in this aspect. If there is severe damage, you might see like the brain. The way the easiest way to differentiate the brain from like the dura mater, so the covering of the brain.
Okay. Yep.
Is there'll be like the brain is like white or gray, and then it kind of there's like it slowly goes like grayer, and then there's an empty space, and then there's like the dura mater.
And then okay, interesting.
So if there's severe damage, there might be like compression. So some spots might seem a lot smaller. And then the dura mater could eventually kind of sink in, and then the CSF, like the cerebral spinal fluid, might kind of fill in the gap.
Whoa.
That's one thing that I would think, because that would have to be pretty severe damage. But like your brain isn't attached. I mean, it's attached to your spine, but in
it's
your
not
head,
attached to anything. It floats in blood.
yeah, it
right?
floats around in your head.
Yeah.
Actually, it doesn't float in blood. It
Not
floats
blood?
it's CSF, so
CSF.
cerebral spinal fluid. It's the same stuff that is in your spinal
In
cord.
your spinal cord? Interesting.
Yeah. There is blood going through it, but just to oxygenate everything.
Yeah, to keep it functioning properly.
Yeah, keep it working.
But the actual surrounding liquid in the skull is the CFX. Or, whatever.
CSF.
CSF, sorry.
No worries. It's
crazy.
So for the MRI stuff that I do, I don't think we look at any like super damaged brains, but where I was going with the brain movement is the most common brain injuries like concussions, right?
Yeah. Slip and falls and they hit their head, concussions.
Yeah.
And
even
hockey.
Yeah, you can get some really bad concussions, and there can be like some pretty some bad damage there.
Interesting.
And that is literally just from your head moving quick, and your brain inside your head is starts moving
slammed
too.
Almost.
Yeah, and it just slams back and forth.
Now that's a huge thing that I always remember. I always remember hearing in high school that the people would be like, don't, if you think you have a concussion, don't go to sleep or something. Mm-hmm. Why would that be?
I don't know if I could touch on that very well. Concussions are very different, and they're not super well understood. So there is a lot of research going into them. Someone in my lab does a lot of research on concussions. So I think the brain it's so intricate, and people out of any organ, it is so much less understood than anything else.
Really?
Like they really don't know that much. So it's cool in that aspect, right? There's
For
still
sure.
a lot.
There's so much to understand. Like, we may never understand it, but there's so much to potentially understand.
Yeah, it's really insane. So for the not sleeping, my idea there would be you don't know where the damage is because you don't know how your brain's sloshing around in your head, right? Could be anywhere. So there's certain things they do know about the brain, like if certain things are damaged, you might lose this or this or this, right? So I think it's just if something is damaged and you do go to sleep, your body might not recover from that sleep, where it's your body kind of goes down into like a lower state.
And that's the fear of death when you have a concussion and you go to sleep. Interesting. And that's hella scary as well.
Yeah, and neurons don't repair very easily. There is evidence that they do repair. It's something called neurogenesis, and a really good way to stimulate it is like physical activity.
Yeah.
So you often see people, they have some sort of damage and then they start running or they start cycling or swimming or something.
And they just immediately start performing better, like being not smarter, I'd say, but more aware, or
they do. They can end up, I don't want to say higher functioning, but functioning very highly, right? It's not fast. It does take a long time. Like you wouldn't go out for running for 5 months and be that much better. You'd have to do it for like 3 or 4 years. 3 or
4 years. It's like everything. It's a long-term battle. Nothing short-term. It's
a
life.
journey. Yeah.
That's interesting for me. That's interesting for me to hear because again, as somebody who suffered a severe brain injury, I was very active before the accident, and it's been a very difficult challenge for me to get reactive again over the 5 years now. I try and bike, I try and go to the gym, I try and do all these things, but it seems almost as a challenge for me. That's something that I forever kind of work on, right? That's just kind of how that works. It's a forever challenge.
I can imagine. I used to like race like cycling. Growing up, and then I ran, and then I was going to the gym, and I was pretty strong. I wasn't like competing or anything.
Yeah, but you were enjoying it when you did it.
Yeah, but I got up to like 100-pound like dumbbell rows, so I was pretty happy with that. But I don't know. So I did something and then I tore the tendons in my forearms.
Oh no.
And then that was when I was finishing up grade 12. And then my forearms were screwed. Took like a year to heal.
For them to heal, yeah.
And then I was working a landscaping job, and I actually got it's called frozen shoulder. So like I lost a lot of the movement in my shoulder for a long time.
Oh Jesus Christ.
That took like 8 months to heal.
That took a while.
And then it was just like coming back from that. It's been really hard to do anything to the same extent. Like I've always been.
Yeah, exactly. It's to that previous extent that things were at. It was like a high score. Now it's like things cleared it and worked towards back it.
Yeah, like I really like pushing myself to like a really high extent, I like to think. So not being able to do that is very, very hard on you, right?
It's frustrating as well, right?
It's pretty crazy. But yeah, so the concussion stuff, MRI you can use, but you'd want to use it's called fMRI. So it's functional magnetic resonance imaging. Okay. So they still use MRI machines, but I believe they will give you some sort of what's it called? Some sort of thing, so it'll go in your blood and they can see it better. But they'll use it to again track the movement in your blood.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe I had that once. It was like a radioactive dye they had to inject into my vein to kind of see what was going on inside my arm. It was very weird. It burned almost a little when they put it inside too. Maybe different stuff, but
yeah. Was it for a CT scan?
I believe so.
Yeah, I've had it for a CT scan too. Yeah, it does feel weird.
Son of a bitch, man! It burned my arm, and it was like but it was the kind of burning where it wasn't like a surface burn. It was like an inside burn. You're like, oh,
yeah. I don't know how to fix this.
How do I fix this? I can't fix this because it's there, and it's like, how get it out of me, and you can't because it's in my freaking arm now, right? Like,
you're trying to saw your arm off.
Just the sacrifice that would have been made, but they're not worth it. They're not worth it. No. This arm has been very helpful, you know. It's the journey though, right? It's the whole medical procedures of everything in that sense. I couldn't imagine the amount of things that you see doing the amount of studies you do, right? Like the amount of different you said, you kind of are always there to, you're not doing your own right now, but you're always there to help people in the higher professors when they're doing theirs. How many, what would you say is your variety of different tests, I would say, that you've done in the past, maybe even 6 months?
So I actually haven't worked where I'm working for too long. I've only actually been there just under a year now.
Okay, right on.
But yeah, mostly I've been focusing just on I had to do a lot of manual edits, so I had to go through the brains.
The 900 pictures?
I had to do, I think I've done almost 100 of them already.
Oh, wow.
So it takes a long time. So essentially the MRI takes the whole image. So you get the skull, you get the nose, you get the ears, the stuff I was talking about, but we don't care about that, right?
That's not important.
No. Yeah. We want to look just at the brain. So there's a program that was developed actually at Harvard. It's called Free Surfer. Okay. And it'll do a pretty good job of just scraping the brain. Okay. But it does miss stuff, and MRIs are all built a little differently. There's anything you manufacture, there's going to be some sort of defect or variance, right? It's not going to be the exact same. If you go buy 10 Barbie dolls, you'll find something different on each one.
Yeah, I blame that on China, but
yeah.
you buy a Canadian-made barbecue, you buy 10 of them, you get 10 of the same barbecues there. That's Canadian quality right there. Buy Canada. Besides the point, obviously, it's a joke, but no, you're gonna get 10 different results for 10 different images.
So you can try and normalize the images. So basically, try and make them all as similar to each other
as possible.
But you will still get some sort of variance in your end image, and there'll be some of the skull might be highlighted, and we don't want to see that, right? So eventually, we get rid of all of that, and then we just look at the brain. So I have to go through and fix all those and make sure that they're done properly.
So that's going through and actually physically editing the picture to edit out the unimportant things, essentially.
Yeah, with using my keyboard and mouse, and it takes a long time. And,
really?
And I mentioned the tendon tear, so I have a torn tendon in my right arm, so I can't straighten it right now.
So that's probably not helping a great deal.
No, it's not super awesome. So I do like a brain or two, and then I ice it and I go back, and yeah. But so that was what I was mostly working on. Now I'm kind of steering away from that. I'm doing a lot of reading because I come from an engineering background, not a neuroscience background.
Yep.
I'm more of a problem solver than like I don't have a lot of basic science history that some of the other people in my lab might have.
Yeah.
I do have I want to say I have a very high level of science just from speaking with like my brother and my colleagues.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't compare myself to them. I think they're far ahead of me in that aspect.
Well, you're on a journey, man. You know,
Yeah,
you're in the journey. You're learning. As you said, you're reading more books now. You're forever trying to expand the brain as you can. Yeah,
exactly. So a lot of it's been reading, and then right now I've been working on some myelin maps and some like the so I do intracortical myelin or intracortical thickness maps. So we see they're really cool pictures. I'll send you one of them.
Okay.
Actually.
Maybe even pop it up on the screen here for the video. Yeah.
I have one up on my phone actually. Do you want me to
You can pull it up. I'll probably still just throw it in the video, know, just so they have a better image of it. We can try and show it to them. I don't know how clear the picture will come through.
Yeah, but there we go. It looks pretty sweet. I really like the look of it. Yeah, I guess it's kind of red. Yeah, you'll notice I use a pretty massive blue light filter on my computer.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now,
so
does that help?
That's what it looks like. So the left side where it's basically all green and blue, that is the no edits. So that's before I edit it. So you notice how you can't see any difference? Like the whole brain looks the same, right?
It's all very same, yeah.
And then if you look at the right side, there's some drastic color differences.
Oh, it's so much different. It's like a tsunami's going on inside around the brain.
Yeah, so that is kind of what you'd want to see. There's
really? That's crazy.
So that's the average of all the brains I've done so far.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just send you that and you can link it up on there.
Yeah. Now, what do those colors differentiate? Like, what do they all mean?
So we specify what they mean. So for that one, it's the cortical thickness. So how thick the outer layer of the brain is.
Interesting.
And that was averaged over, I want to say it's 45 or 50 brains.
Okay. Now, is there a usual typical spot that's like thinner around the brain in most individuals, or is that kind of based off damage or falls or things that have affected the head itself?
That's a good question. I could speculate on it. I would say that each brain is different. So just based on your genes, you probably have a different size. Like if we were to put your brain, let's say pre-accident.
Okay, yep.
So, and then my brain on a table.
Okay.
Different parts would be different sizes, right?
For sure.
So, and then part of it, this is more from reading, so I would say it's less speculative. Your brain, well, your body gets better at things, right? So the more you do something, the better it might get.
Yes.
So
repetition helps kind of perfect it, right?
Exactly. So your frontal lobe, so kind of your forehead, or I guess behind your forehead.
Yeah.
is I think it's often associated with problem solving and like higher thinking and stuff like that. So I would imagine probably like professors and maybe CEOs, people that do a lot of thinking might have more developed frontal lobes.
Frontal lobes? Okay, interesting.
Versus people who don't have to do that much extra thinking.
Like
right?
maybe like an athlete who may then have a stronger like rear lobe or left lobe. Like how would that differentiate there?
Yeah, so I haven't done any neuroanatomy stuff in a long time.
Okay, yeah, I feel like I put people on the spot. I apologize for that.
I am trying to remember. I wouldn't be able to give a good example for an athlete, but an example for a difference between maybe not me and you, because I have glasses, so my eyes are obviously not doing me any favors. But let's say someone with perfect vision,
perfect 20/20,
and you, because you don't have good
I
vision.
have, yeah. It's like -18 in the Y that I can still see. It's awful. I'm like a Millhouse blind. It's great.
So your occipital lobe, so that is near the back of your head.
Okay.
Which is weird because your eyes are at the front of your head, and the
Yes.
lobe that
It's
does the
reverse.
processing at the and it's kind of like your left side of your brain controls the right side of your body, and the right side of your brain controls the left side of your body.
Yeah, that's it's
weird, eh?
It's so weird. That's always kind of just, it doesn't bother me, but it's just like, why?
Yeah,
it's weird, but it's just the way we are. We're humans. It's the way we are. We're unique.
Gotta start doing brain transplants and just switching everything where we need it to be.
Let's see if maybe we can make the right work the right and the left work the right.
It makes more sense.
Let's do the Frankenstein.
But yeah, so like your occipital lobe might be underdeveloped, but since you kind of have that, I guess it would be a handicap. You might have like a more developed frontal lobe to compensate, or
Like
some
a part of my brain could have strengthened because of the damage in another part.
Yeah, I imagine so. Again, these happen over long periods of time.
Yeah. Well, honestly, man, if you talk to people that knew me, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and now, they would say I'm a very different person. And I wouldn't disagree with them. I couldn't tell you how, but I just know that I am. I wouldn't say that's due to the brain injury I sustained, but I definitely wouldn't say it doesn't play a major factor in it. It's like a DMT experience without needing any drugs. It was just literally game over. Would you like to restart from checkpoint? And I was like, I'll restart from checkpoint. And that's a hospital, and I'll take that. But I'm a different person now. So and that's cool because it's still the same individual at heart, but just a little different thinking. Your mind changes constantly. It's not constantly, but it should be constantly changed in the way I think of it. If you're not changing in life, you're not moving forward, you're not growing, right? Like your brain should always kind of be accepting new ideas, kind of, rationaling, like you said earlier with the scientists that aren't getting the funding there. They should be, literally thinking about the what ifs and the possibilities of them, not actually the what we knows kind of deal.
Yeah. An interesting way to think of that is inflation is supposed to be 3% per year, right? So prices are supposed to go up 3% per year.
Okay, yep. My salary ain't going up 3% a year.
It should be. So that's normally what people will quote. So inflation is kind of tied to how quickly the economy is expanding. So it should be around 3% per year.
Okay.
So if the economy is expanding, people are more productive, or you're getting more work out of them, right?
More work, yeah.
So if everything's moving up at 3% per year, you should be progressing or bettering yourself at least 3% per year,
if not more,
if you don't want to fall behind.
Interesting.
It's not a lot to follow, but it's a good way to think, right? If you're not, and like 3%,
such a minimal change. It'd be like recycling your water bottles instead of throwing them out, or not using paper or plastic straws anymore, and not contributing to that waste, or not listening to country music when there's rock and roll. That's the 3%.
You definitely want to skip on the country.
I'm sorry, everybody that's watching loves country. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's interesting. No, and that is really, I guess, kind of just the way I look at look at life, is you got to be progressive changing. That's just is what it is, as you say.
Yeah, something that one of my friends asked me this a couple months ago, and they're like, "Oh, like, how did you do this?" Or like, I don't remember. It was something about the business, because I started the business when I'm full-time school and I'm working part-time job.
That's insane, right? You saw the demand, though. You saw the need for it, and you saw the niche, and you clinched it by the balls and took it.
Yeah. It needed to be done, and someone had to do it, and that's kind of a mentality that I've adopted more. Kind of since I moved back, because I did my first year at UBC, so I actually lived in British Columbia for a year.
Yeah. I've been on that campus. It's a gorgeous campus, man.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
It's cool,
It's great. It's great.
So like you can't say I don't know how to do that, because of course you don't know how to do it. You haven't done it yet.
You haven't done it, yeah.
You just got to do it.
You're giving up on yourself before you even giving it a chance. Like, are you kidding? Like,
and it's like, just picture Elon Musk and then do everything a little bit less extreme than he does. So say you're going to do something that's reasonable, and then go do it.
And do it.
Maybe don't extend as much as he extends all the time. But
I'm going to build the tunnels, man, fully electric.
He does pull some crazy stuff off. I'll give him that.
No, he is, honestly, it's insane. Even just I really like last year I looked at the history of him. I kind of forget it because I always forget things, but I recently discussed it again like this past week, if not so. And it was like, the guy created like PayPal when he was like in his 20s kind of deal. Like,
yeah, he was one of the guys that was so. I'm pretty sure. So there was PayPal, and then he was actually writing a competing software.
X
and then,
is what I was told it was. I believe it was.
And then he kind of joined the PayPal team or whatever. And then when they sold, he got like 300 million.
300, and then he ended up starting. If I'm not mistaken, he didn't start Tesla till late 2000s. I want to say it was.
I think it was 2006.
Six? Yeah, it was before the iPhone had launched.
And it was also before the stock market crash in 2008 because Tesla and Ford were the only two American automakers to not have to be bought out by during that.
Interesting.
So that's kind of crazy.
That's
because
crazy, yeah.
People, I guess I also have a bias. So I always drove a Ford Ranger. I've had like 3 of them now, I think.
Is that the SUV?
Little truck.
Oh, that's the little truck. Okay,
yeah.
the little smaller than the F-150.
Yeah, it's a little nasty truck. One of mine was in 1994, and the other one was like 2003. So they're all old and like grimy. I like them though.
They're nice, yeah. They're whatever. If you like it, you like it. I had a '96 Camry. I love that thing to death. I don't like modern-day Camrys, but I like the classics.
Yeah. And people always tear apart Ford, but I mean, Ford didn't have to get bought out, right?
Yeah, it's true. It's just one of the trucks that I refuse to call a truck, but it's true. They didn't need to be bailed out, so they're doing something right. They were doing something right. I don't know about now, but I can only assume probably. They're probably still doing okay.
The only thing I don't like, I'm not a big truck person anymore. But the one thing I don't like about like Chevrolet trucks or GMC trucks is the wheel wells. This comes back to
interesting
because they square. A lot of them are square.
Yeah, they square.
over a round wheel, so it
wheel.
Looks very weird for me.
So you probably don't like Wendy's and their square burgers on their circular. It's like the whole just doesn't work. It's not
sitting there
it's not
going
right.
crazy. The truck would look really good if it was lifted and you had some massive wheels on it.
Oh, I've seen some beautiful lifted GMs. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you have normal wheels on it,
the wheels almost look too small for the. I do see that a lot with the Silverados. I think it is. It's like you see them drive around, and you're like, that wheel looks so small for the case that they've given it, for the wheel well even. It's like it's kind of ridiculous. I don't know. I saw the new 20. I think it was a 2020 Sierra, and they changed the front of it, and it looks just awful. It looks terrible.
Okay.
It doesn't look good. It's unfortunate to see where these.
Yeah, that was always sad to hear. I hate when they come out with just a dumb car.
Just a dumb looking car. You're like, why? Why? I'm still holding hopes on maybe we get the 2020 Ford Bronco. I was told that was. I'm pretty sure there's a video of them debuting what's the the model that they just showcase. What would that be called? Like the prototype or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
So they showed one, if I'm not mistaken, and it was pretty badass. And it's like, if this could be real.
Have you seen the Porsche Taycan, or have you heard of that?
I've definitely heard of the Taycan before. Yeah.
Yeah, it's their new electric car.
That is their electric one. See, I only know of that because I watched a video a couple weeks ago about how they're trying to start an electric racing league, and Tesla's the only car that has an electric model out. And it's like, so they're all Teslas, but they're trying to approach them because that is the other high model, high class electric vehicle. So it was the Porsche?
Yeah, Porsche Taycan.
Taycan.
Yeah, so it's
like Toucan Sam, but Taycan.
Yeah, I really like it.
Looks badass.
They have a nice wagon version, and you can.
I haven't seen the wagon version.
They have an off-road wagon version.
Get out of here!
So dirty.
Why would I need an off-road wagon version luxury SUV? That's a sports car as well. Like, am I going dooning and then camping with the family too? Like, that's crazy.
That'd be so sweet.
I mean, if I was a millionaire though, I'd probably buy it. It's like Dan Bilzerian money. Why not?
Do you know why they build the fast wagons?
No.
So the reason to build a wagon is you get. I mean, it's going to be a bit heavier than a coupe.
For sure. You got more. Well, you got more cargo space and stuff, right? You got more bang.
Yeah, and you're able to. Well, I mean, especially if you do a wagon. I didn't thought of this actually. This is kind of on the spot. A wagon, and you have a rear engine, you would have more room for the engine as well. You could put a bigger engine in. I didn't even think that till right now.
Yeah, you could put a huge motor in the back.
But
would it cause disproportionate weight?
So this is actually a lot of the reason why they'll use the wagon is because you can have a really low center of gravity. That's why you don't see them racing SUVs often. But a wagon is basically a low riding SUV.
A low riding SUV, just a lower like suspension
lower center of gravity.
and center of gravity.
So you can
Interesting.
hit those turns just
And you're not going to
nasty.
flip it, but if
Yeah.
you did that in SUV, you're flipping it. That's,
Yeah.
Oh, I'd pay to see both, honestly. I'd pay to see both.
To stay on the cars, have you ever heard of the company Koenigsegg?
No.
So it's a Swedish hypercar company. And
Hypercar.
when I actually started engineering, that was my goal. I wanted to work for Koenigsegg, and I started off in mechanical engineering. You should pull one up and look at one. The Koenigsegg Jesko is their most recent one.
Say, I'll probably end up putting a picture up online too. How do we spell it?
Koen.
I've definitely seen that before.
Did you look up the Jesko?
Jesko right here.
It hits over 300 miles an hour.
Oh, Jesus Christ, people. This is Jesus Christ.
It is just
That's
insane.
Now, what would one of those retail for?
So
8 billion? 8 million? You know, like.
I think the previous model, their luxury model,
Jesus
was the
Christ.
Riera, and the acceleration on it would get up to 400 kilometers an hour in under 20 seconds.
Oh, my God.
And it was really sweet. And I think that one went
Was
for
it the Regera?
Yeah.
The Regera. Jesus Christ. That's the supercar. That's the Bugatti in, Grand Theft Auto.
So to be honest, these things thrash Bugattis. But
Bugatti's nothing compared to those cars.
Yeah,
That's
these
insane.
The guy who builds them, Christian von Koenigsegg, is like an engineering mastermind. Like they have to do some insane things. So the Riera, or I call it Regera too. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you pronounce it. It's like peach and potch.
Yeah,
Terrible example.
They had to create a custom torque converter because they could not source one from any other manufacturer that was strong enough.
Jesus Christ.
Because so it's a hybrid car, and it has no gearbox.
So it's just all drive.
It's all gear 7.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ!
Isn't that
Whoa,
insane?
that makes me think of what Tesla has planned with their 2020 Roadster. The whole 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds, literally never been done before.
I'm very excited to see if it happens. I'm
yes.
always a little skeptical, but if it happens, that's awesome.
I don't know if they have a video of them doing a showcase of it or not. I believe they do.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out, and maybe I'll have to link it to you after we're done here. We
Okay.
can check it out if they have the video of it happening. But it's if that is a possible, what is the future of what we can do?
What's next?
If you can get to 60 miles an hour in under 2 seconds,
That's pretty.
that's
crazy.
terrifying.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine being in the vehicle for
like
that.
a bullet.
It's literally a bullet.
Yeah.
You're shooting me out of a goddamn cannon.
Yeah.
But not yet, because I can't. And once I hit 60 under a second, then I'm getting shot out of a goddamn. But that just can't be
That's
good
gotta
for.
be like 4 Gs.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
The amount of resistance that would be on you, right? Wouldn't that not almost be? But that's something Tesla they'd be figuring out. Elon's probably already worked on that. They already got maybe the resistance. I don't even know. I don't know what they do. I just know I'm really hyped for this car.
Be a really cool way to do it is to have a long car and then start at the front of the car and then you slowly drift to the back of the car as you're going.
Whoa.
So then you have you're not getting pushed back as far, right? You're not accelerating forward as quickly because you can
You're
slowly
moving
slide
with
backwards.
the vehicle
Yeah.
that'd be insane. Not even a whole long, maybe even just a couple feet.
Yeah.
Just that initial when you push it, it just slowly goes back, but then it's
It's almost like a cushioning.
a cushioning, yeah, like an like an airbag kind of cushioning in the
Yeah.
back. That'd be insane, man. That'd be insane.
That'd be pretty cool.
Then we've gone so far off topic of what we had discussed at the beginning of cars, and then we got brains and MRIs, and we were just all over the place, man.
It's a wide topic.
It's a wide topic, honestly, though, man. Honestly, I try to keep these things under an hour just out of respect for the viewers, because I have done one in the past, and it was over an hour, and I heard from the people, they're like, we like good discussion, but we are also time constrained. And I hate that, but I also love it, because at that point in time, it allows me to guarantee that we will have another discussion in the future, or we can see where this goes. I'm not going to try and end things right this second, but I will be ending it very shortly here.
Okay.
One of the last things I wanted to ask you, what are the last things? I didn't even get to any of the goddamn points that I had at all. one of the things that I wanted to ask you, because I know a lot of cool people, have you ever seen any, like, you do a lot of MRI scans, and they're all subject bias nobody, right? There's no identity to them. Do you ever see any brain scans of people that have done psychedelic drugs or like crazy drugs that have affected their brain?
So no, but there is really cool research going on with psychedelics and
interesting.
For post-traumatic stress
PTSD.
disorder,
And I was actually gonna mention that. Are we talking about mushrooms and PTSD?
Yeah, like that's a big, like, there's a lot of studies going on. So I haven't read too many of those papers.
Too many of them, yep. They're coming down the pipipeline.
Yeah,
you'll get them.
They do seem like relatively promising at first glance, and there is this kind of comes back to their science avoiding certain things, right? So
Yes.
there is
they don't love touching drugs.
Yeah, a lot of people don't, not even just scientists. A lot of people will avoid psychedelics.
Yep, they're scary.
But I mean, you got to test things to prove there's a positive or a negative, right?
True, yeah. You can't just say this is the fact without even testing and just assuming that this is what it is because I'm afraid to take it. I'm afraid to take LSD. Let's just write it kills you. You know, it's like you see Satan. Oh, no. But like when you take LSD, you are Jesus. You're not. It's the total opposite, maybe. I don't know. I've never done LSD, so I have no idea.
So I've seen other things. Actually, I read a paper this week or last week using LSD. I think it was LSD.
Be pretty
actually,
awesome.
For depression, and
Whoa.
They saw that it again. This is not a clinical study. This hasn't been tested on tons of people and proven to be true. This was
Bill in his garage with his depressed wife. He's like, "Here, honey, you just take this, and I think things will be better."
No, I mean, it has been tested, and it does seem promising, but it needs more. Just so no one is like, "Oh, Jesse said."
Jesse is not saying anything regarding mushrooms or LSD in regards to science. He is not quoting anything or claiming anything. Let's just get that out there.
I'm just saying there is promising stuff coming up, and it could be soon. I hope for the people that are depressed and going through that kind of stuff that there is something.
Yeah.
Because
it sucks so much.
The drugs
man.
we have don't work.
No,
well enough.
And the pharmaceutical companies, they've been the bad guy for too fucking long, and it's like they've killed too many fucking people. And it's like we need to literally look at the natural resources that we have on this planet. Like, you know, your mushrooms, your marijuana, CBD, THC in that sense. Rick Simpson oil is a huge one that I know has been around since the late 90s, if I'm not mistaken. And it's like it's just kind of starting to come out. I just read a news a website the other day, an article posted. It's like a science journal about how they were talking about how Rick Simpson oil is literally proven to beat cancer. It's like this is a drug that if you're using it in your oil, you're taking like gram dosages every day.
I'd be skeptical, but I'll explain my skeptics after.
No, I would love to hear it because again, I have no
baseline.
No, yeah, I have literally. It's just quotes of people from the internet that have expressed their stories.
Yeah,
and it's like, you know, I'm probably just another dumb Gen X reading things and believing it, but it's like I'm reading something that I believed in for so long that I believed what you're writing.
Yeah, it's good. A lot of it, when you see positive stuff, it's good to hear and you want to believe it, right?
Yeah. It's not a shitty story where somebody dies in the end.
Yeah.
It's literally a story where, you know, somebody's husband has beat lymphoma cancer in 6 months because he was taking, you know, Rick Simpson oil every day. It's like crazy, happy stories.
So there is anecdotal evidence that anything can cure anything, right? Like there's always that one case where
I can drink milk and cure AIDS, you know.
Yeah,
it's
there's the case where something crazy happens. Like the human body is extremely versatile. Like it does a very good job. I'm just gonna say it like that. Like it does
what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. But I want to touch on cancer because a lot of people will say something can cure cancer, and it comes down to people don't actually understand what cancer is.
I say cancer, there's such a wide variety of cancers. It's like you say cancer, I did use it as just a generalized topic there. It's like, you know, you can't beat bone cancer. You can't beat certain kinds of cancer, but each kind of cancer is attacked in different ways as well. medically speaking.
So cancer, the reason you can't cure it is it's your body. It's your own body just doing something wrong.
And this is one thing that I remember back here in high school. We're all born with cancer cells in our body, right? It's just a matter of fact of whether they are able to produce and reproduce themselves.
Yeah,
to grow.
I'll go down the pipeline. So there's different genes that have to be damaged for different cells to basically replicate as cancer cells.
Okay.
So a cancer cell is just a cell that provides no good benefit to your body and now has basically the trigger that says, okay, only reproduce this many times, turned off. It just keeps reproducing, right? And then it consumes your resources and kills you. That's how.
Like your white blood cells can't fight it off any longer because it's just it literally never dies.
And even your white blood cells might not be able to determine it's cancer because it's your own body cell.
True, because it's been there the whole time.
Yeah. So there's different things that can trigger cancer in different areas. That's why there's different cancers, but no matter where it is in your body, it is your body's cells. It's not something else. So it's not, and it's literally just on the DNA strand. One of the DNAs when, I think it's mitosis or meiosis, one of them.
Okay.
One of them happens, and the cell splits into two cells. One of the DNA strands will get flipped. So there's like G, C, T, and A. They're the different amino acids that make up the DNA helix.
Okay.
And then that basically codes for how the cell is supposed to operate.
Oh, wow.
So then when one of those...
So again, it's kind of like computer coding at the end of the day in your body.
So this is why it kind of comes down... I often hear three is kind of there's three things that kind of need to be flipped. So no matter what, when your cells kind of replicate, there's going to be things that go wrong. That's why and this comes down to what you said. You're born with cancer cells. Me and you probably actually have cancer in our body right now.
I would almost, I would. I hate to think it, but I would almost guarantee we do.
Yeah, no. So probably everyone within 100 miles of here probably has some sort of cancer in their body.
In some way, yeah.
So it's not that bad because I'll explain the kind of the three things that have to happen. So you have a normal cell.
Okay.
It replicates only as much as needed to replace dying cells.
Okay.
Right? It only consumes as much resources as needed.
As it needs.
And if something goes wrong, it has a kill switch in it to kill itself.
So it can just kill itself.
To sacrifice itself for the greater good.
For the greater good of humanity, yep.
So then a cancer cell, or a cell that you could say, oh, this is a cancerous, could have any one of those three things wrong, basically. So this is where me and you might have cancer, where we could have cancer where a cell isn't doing its normal job, and it's consuming more resources, or maybe it's replicating more, but it still has the kill switch.
Still can kill itself.
So it'll get produced in our body, and then it basically has this thing to check over its DNA, like something that kind of like a safety net, and then it goes, oh, something's wrong. Boom, kills itself.
Yeah.
So this is why people have cancer, but not very long. And this kind of comes down to, if people understood that, then they would know that cancer is extremely hard. It's not really something you can cure because it's just one thing in your body goes wrong.
It's like something you beat rather than cure.
Yeah.
Like you battle it rather than cure it. It's always still going to exist in you. It's just you've beat the ones that are winning, so to speak. Which again kind of ties back to the whole Rick Simpson oil. Maybe what those people are giving themselves in that oil is powering, maybe those white blood cells or the blood cells that defend the body to attack those things in a greater number or maybe in a different way. I don't understand it, and I don't think I ever will.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. So this is speculative, but I'm pretty sure a lot of your immune system can't even recognize cancer. So I think the thing here that gets connected is people, when they go for chemo or radiation, they go, oh, my immune system's weakened. And people correlate that with with cancer.
With the chemo, yep.
But it's actually, the chemo is weakening their immune system because it's just killing cells, right?
You have to kill cells to try and kill. It's like it's trying to kill everything. Yeah. That's crazy to think that's what chemotherapy is. That's just a chemical process that we're just killing all the cells in your body to try and kill the cancer.
There is some kind of more intricate chemo things that kind of come out, and they're more targeted, and they'll only kill certain cells. And
now that's actually interesting because right off the bat, I'm thinking of Alex Trebek, the Jeopardy guy. He just announced,
good news.
Like he's almost beaten the cancer, and that was almost like a month or something ago that he could.
Yeah.
So obviously, he has the amount of money that of a rich celebrity would. And that would give him, and I assumed, he's an American, I would assume that gives him the privilege of higher reliable health care, which maybe could access to him those higher cancer treatments where he doesn't necessarily ever look sick or get sick, because he hasn't looked bad at all over the past 3 months. He's always looked quite normal, but maybe they're targeting those cells rather than his whole body cells, or...
Yeah, so... Yeah, it just reminded me of something. So the immune system actually can fight cancer, but I don't know what immune cells it is, because there's this gene therapy. It's called, it's CAR T therapy. And I saw an article on it. A man from Nova Scotia who had stage 4 cancer, and he had to do rounds of chemo to stay alive, just
Jesus
to
Christ,
kill off
just
the
to
cancer.
kill everything, yeah.
So he would stay alive long
Oh,
enough
my God.
for this gene therapy. So they pull these CAR T cells out of his body, and then they do this gene therapy. So they're changing the genetics of these cells.
Like the genetic build in his body, they're changing it?
Just
what
in
they've
these,
extracted.
Just in these cells.
What they've extracted. My bad.
Yeah, just in these specific cells, so that they're basically programmed to kill the cancer he has.
Whoa.
So to my understanding, they'll biopsy the cancer, so they'll take some of it out of him, check what it is, and then they'll program these cells to almost like to go kill them, and then they have to culture them so they can get like millions of them, and then they pump them back into his body.
And then they pump back into his body, and then those would fight.
Awesome.
But
it's super expensive. It costs $900,000, and this kind of touches
$1 million.
Yeah, this touches on where a lot of people are anti-pharma, and they do hate the costs. And I'm not pro-pharma. Some of the costs are ridiculous.
Yeah.
But this kind of touches on how much research has to go into some of this
Well,
stuff.
and then it all kind of ties back into the grants that need to fund the research, and it's a big circle at the end of the day. And that's where we are very lucky to have the free healthcare included with our taxes. We don't see the blunt force of the paying all that things. I couldn't imagine the millions of dollars that I cost the healthcare system in my 5 months at the hospitals. Yeah. But like that never really relapsed any cost on us as a family. Maybe a couple ambulance bills, but like that was it. And I couldn't imagine somebody in that situation in America where that does end up coming down to them. And I get, everyone has health insurance and things of that sense in the States, and you got to buy that. And it all kind of makes sense where it does, it all costs money to fund those things, to find those things out. Like
it's kind of people will often say the States has better healthcare than Canada.
Interesting.
Because you can go there, and that's where a lot of the top doctors are. But Canada actually has a higher average age, and we spend less on healthcare per person than the States.
And and honestly, you could go to America and see why that is the case. You got freaking $1 McChickens at McDonald's, and there's a McDonald's every 3 blocks, and like everybody, you can't. There is no such thing as a small drink at Wendy's. Like a small at Wendy's is a cup that's a foot and a half off the, and that's not a small. Like
no.
Where is the small? That's not. I'm not getting a medium. I don't want nearly a large. Where's the small? And that is a direct kind of, I believe, image of what we see America and what America is. It's a very unhealthy country that pays for their healthcare because of how I'm going to be the one to say it, but they pay for the healthcare because of how unhealthy they are as a nation. If you were to give everyone free healthcare in America, how bankrupt would your hospitals be? How bankrupt would your grants be? Like would there be any money for that?
Just the diabetic medication would be insane.
Right there, and that's exactly. There's diabetes, There's so many obese individuals that live off of soda. My 700-pound Life was a show that was created in America, and it's like that. I don't know that it was created out of it. I don't know if it was created in America. Don't fact check me, people. But it's like that's a show that literally is a show based off of finding 700, 800-pound people and trying to help their lifestyle. And it's like, who are you trying to help here? Like it's terrible.
It's insane.
We're very lucky to live in a country where we do, because again, as you said earlier, you're working full time, you're going to school full time, and you're owning a company, and it's all for the better research of the science that we were able to do. So
yeah, it's just trying to streamline it, get it going.
Get it going, man. And have you, because you said it's only been active for a couple months now, have you found success with it? A lot of people have been, it's been working, professors and people looking to make some money and things of that sense. Everything's flowing.
Every researcher I meet loves it.
That's fantastic.
Every researcher I meet loves it. And we don't charge participants at all. So they just go on
make
and
money. They just come make money.
We do charge researchers because we have to advertise and stuff for them.
Well,
right?
we have to pay ourselves.
ourselves.
Yeah, we have to keep the program going.
And but I mean, it ends up being cheaper for them, than what they're currently doing,
than what they would pay otherwise,
and them wasting time. We have a new feature coming out, so you should be able to just go in and drag and drop and automate when you want to come in.
Wow, that's amazing.
So right now, how it works is you have to email back and forth and coordinate a time.
Okay. But you're working on a system where it'll be like an interactive calendar online that can have just a bunch of time slots and days, and you choose that, and it's automatically all goes in the system.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's streamlining it, right? Like that's what that would be considered?
Yeah, exactly. So one of the researchers I talked to, he's a postdoc. So
okay,
it's
right
a postdoctoral fellowship.
Oh, interesting.
So that's after they do their PhD.
So he's been going to school for 35 years.
Yeah, probably at least. Yeah.
He's 78 years old. He's finally at the PhD of PhDs, the doctorates.
There's a really funny story there. But yeah, he spent a whole morning just contacting participants, trying to get them set up. That's a lot of wasted time. And he probably makes $60K a year. So
only $60K, you think?
Yeah. So postdocs don't get paid too much.
Oh, okay, my mistake.
But the PhD thing. So I walk around a lot, just trying to talk to researchers, kind of tell them about the platform, awareness. And we bumped into a woman, just a nice older lady, and she mentioned she was a PhD student, and I was like, "That's awesome,
pretty sweet."
And me and my co-founder, we walking away, and we look at each other, and she's got to be the oldest PhD student I've ever met. I think she was probably in her 60s.
Wow.
So what I think happened is she retired and she just wanted to do a PhD.
She just wanted to do it. Yeah.
That's awesome for her.
That's huge. Yeah. Well, that's what I've been. I don't ever try and tell people it, but it does come up in conversation sometimes. You're never too old to go to school, people. It's really it's another situation with some people I know, and there's a parent who's going back, to be a legal lawyer assistant,
nice.
And it's huge because she's in her late 40s, and it's she's slowly going back, going to a class every week, doing all the reading, doing all the research, and slowly going to become that role that she didn't get to become back then, but now she's working towards it now. It's you're never too old to become what you want to do, and it just shows with the PhD, it takes some time, but when you do end up getting it, how rewarding is it? How rewarding.
Just on the flip side quickly is, don't treat school as something that's going to guarantee you anything.
No, it doesn't.
I think a lot of people go to school. Well, there's this thing that you have to go to school. You don't have to go to school. You can not go to school. You can do a trade. You can be successful there.
Dude, the trades are one of the most successful industries out there, right? You make so much money in a trade.
Yeah, you can skip school and learn everything online. To be honest.
Yeah, true.
Everything that I've learned for my company, it's been outside of school. Yeah, learned through my own time, right? And you just have to have the mindset that you want to learn. If you want to learn, you'll be successful. If you don't want to learn, then it's not going to work out.
You'll exist, and you'll be there. Interesting.
Have fun doing what you're doing and just learn, right?
And that falls back to the whole, if you're not moving forward in life, you're not growing, and that's just, some people are okay with not growing. They're just comfortable, and that's okay. And that bothers me. But that's just because personal growth, I just never want to stop growing. I love who I am and what I do now and all the people I interact with. But it's unfortunately, I got to keep changing. That was a time and period. And unfortunately, as much as I freaking loved it, I got to keep moving on. And there's going to be better times that come at you. And
just got to be excited for the future.
Well, that's exactly it, man. I'm excited for the future, and not even the things that are going to be coming. I'm just excited that there is a future. I'm excited that I have a future still, and I'm still here to be able to interact with you and, everyone else I get to interact with.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, man. Hey, so I want to give you one last chance here to shout out your podcast. Let us know everything about your company, your podcast, and I'll throw all the info bits up when we're in the graphs you're in editing, and then we'll say our goodbyes. So Mike's all yours, my friend.
Yeah. So Get Learnt is the podcast. It's on anywhere you can find podcasts, Apple Podcasts, YouTube,
Google, Spotify.
Yeah. We also have a Facebook page. We're not super regimented in our podcasts. We've just as we've been kicking up our business, we've had to fall back a little bit.
That's all right. It takes time.
Yeah, they come up when they come up, and they're good. And then Our Search is a company. You can sign up on oursearch.co.
Co.co.
Couldn't afford the .com. The guy wanted 20 grand American.
Off out of here.
I was like, no, thank you.
No, thank you. How do you 20 grand?
Yeah, I was like, it was very explicit, my response, but yeah, so you can sign up to be a participant. You can, if we don't have studies from your school, you can sign up. You log in, go to notifications, flip those suckers on, and then you can follow your local school.
And then things could be popping up in your local area in the future.
Yeah, so if you're like from London, you can.
Well, I say London because you just mentioned London. You guys are going to start working with Western. There's going to be more things popping up there. That's super good for me because I'm here, and there was some that I already wanted to partake in that couldn't because the distance there. So
yeah. So then even then you can sign up, follow Western, and then as soon as someone from Western posts a study, you'll get an email.
Be notified. That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's awesome. And we have a phone app coming out soon.
Perfect.
So it'll be
self-developed. You guys develop that in-house?
Yeah.
That's incredible,
man.
man.
We do all of our development in-house. So
that's insane.
Cool. Yeah. And then if you know any researchers, let me know.
I'll link. I guess you as well. Obviously, as a person, I can link just your page. It depends on what you are comfortable with. We can talk about that after. And then I'll get the people to kind of contact you at that point because honestly, every research we can do, it's so beneficial to everyone.
Yeah, just push society forward. This is what I like to see.
Yes. Don't be part of the train. Be a part of the front of the train that's driving the engine. Right. That's an old comedian bit I heard. It's like society's like a train. The people that are still living in the religious past are the people in the back of the train slowing us down. Where the scientists are trying to molecular science and neuroscience.
They're shoving coal into the engine.
Exactly. They're like, guys, we're trying to move forward. And they're like, but Jesus loves the gays, but he doesn't because they're, and it's like, that's so 1930s mindset. Let's move forward, people. Like, goddamn. All right. Hey, Jesse, man, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for sharing the info. As I said, there's still much more we could have dug into, and there's still so much more we will dig into in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
I will definitely have you back on the future. I might even have maybe you as a guest on I'm trying to get a third mic right now. I'm going to be looking at getting like guest discussions where there's 2 to 3 guests all kind of talking to each other at a time where you all have a group discussion. I would love to kind of have you in on that in the future. I'll definitely
it'd be exciting.
Put you down on the list there. Hey man, thank you so much for being here. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for tuning in to Crawford Tales Podcast. As always, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Check out his pages. Our Search headphones fell off, so shoot them a like on RIP Cemetery. Check out Jesse. And as always, thank you for watching. Until next time, peace out.
Nice. Awesome.